We're going to start our practice in Tadasana. Props wise, you might want to have a block or two handy, always and forever. But for now, just find your feet here, find your strong Tadasana, and if you want to take any movement here, just go for it. I always like to take a few shoulder rolls. You might even let your ear drop over to its matching shoulder on either side, and then take it over the other way. It might be better for you as you come to stillness to spin your palms forwards. If you want to start to tune into your breath and get a little bit of tactile feedback there, you might take one hand towards your navel, one hand towards your heart space, and then feel your breath as you expand into your Ujjayi pranayama. Finding that ever so slight constriction at the back of your throat, bringing maybe the tip or mid-tongue up to the roof of your mouth. See if you can act like you're trying to pull the mat apart with your feet and then tuck your tail in a little bit tighter. That's the kind of engagement that we want. If you have your hands somewhere on your midsection, your torso like me, take your hands down at your side, spinning your thumbs out the way, and on an inhale, let's reach up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Remember, soften your knees just as much as you need. I usually need quite a lot. Inhale, find a halfway lift as high as it takes to bring your scapula towards one another. And then exhale, fold back in. Two more. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold back in. One more time. Find your halfway lift. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Stepping it back to downward facing dog. Planting one foot, then the other. Pressing into your hands and really spreading your fingers out, getting that suction cup-like motion with your hands. Think about hollowing out your armpits. And as you press your sit bones towards the sky, again, you can find movement in this shape. Now, aside from this first sun salutation, we'll be moving quite quickly through the next couple. That being said, remember, just like any other practice that you take part in, any physical yoga practice, you must move at your own pace. The great deal is you can pause me if you want to take things a little slower or spend a little more time in a shape that feels better for you. For now, let's come to stillness. Take an inhale. Exhale, come to your Palakasana. So that could be knees lifted or lowered, and we'll just hold here for a few moments to build some heat. So if your knees are lowered, just think about drawing navel to spine, powering up through your upper body, and there's a neutral broadness to your upper back. So we're not rounded, but we're also not letting shoulder blades come towards one another. If your knees are lifted, start to engage your glutes and your quads. And then using an inhale, bring your shoulders forwards, elbows shave your sides as you lower all the way down to the floor. Let's take Cobra this time, pressing into the floor, squeeze your glutes, lift your chest, and you're reducing the bend for your elbows. And then exhale, come all the way down. Your choice, either use your knees or use an inhale to strengthen up for plank, tucking those toes, bracing your body, and then exhale, press all the way up to Palakasana. Taking an inhale there, we meet in downward facing dog. Using an inhale, looking up and in between your hands. You could walk or step however you like for this first one. Forward fold at the front of your mat, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, squeezing those shoulder blades towards one another. Then exhale, dive back in. Ardha Hastasana, stand up, reach up, nice big breath. Then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, down dog. Inhale there. Then exhale, Palakasana. Inhale, nudges your shoulders forwards. Exhale, all or halfway to the earth for Chaturanga. If it's Chaturanga, hold for a little inhale. Lower on your exhale. Finding your back bend. If you want to go for an upward facing dog this time with arms lengthened, knees lifted, and then we take it back to downward facing dog. Magnetize those forearms together. Draw your navel towards your low ribs here. Then looking up on an inhale, if you stepped with one foot last time, step with the other foot this time. Forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Ardha Hastasana. Stand up, reach up, nice big breath. One more time, we'll go through Sun Salutation A. Fold it in. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, straight to Palakasana, stepping back one foot and then the other, just taking these movements quite methodically to begin with. Inhale, bring your shoulders forwards. Option for Chaturanga, really shave your sides with those elbows, find that bracing in your upper back, good. And then inhale, find your back bend, inhale. Exhale, down dog. Now for my practice, I'm going to continue stepping through. If you'd rather take a hop or another way to the front of your mat, then that's fine. All that I'll ask is that you use an inhale to look up and in between your hands, and an exhale to find the front of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. On your inhale, stand up, reach up, Ardha Hastasana. Now keep your hands reaching up this time. You're going to take your right hand forwards. And then from here, as you start to turn around towards the left side of your mat, perhaps you soften your left knee a bit. Perhaps you even come up on the ball of your left foot. You'll find out what you want to do as you do it. And then from here, you have a couple of options. You could take your left hand to your low back, or keeping that palm open in the same direction as your right palm, you're going to kind of spiral that left arm back, yeah? Good. Now, I say this a lot to myself. Imagine there was like a friendly ghost hand pressing your left shoulder back in space. Notice I didn't have a ghost hand there. I actually just used my own hand, which is fine too. And then reach out, feel that oppositional reach through each set of fingertips. From here on an inhale, we reach up, but remember that movement. Come through to Ardha Hastasana. Exhale, lead with your heart into your forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Now step your right foot back for low lunge, Koundinyasana. And as always, feel free if you want to add some padding underneath your right knee. That can be a great option, okay? Don't be a hero. Knees want to be happy. Right knee is tracking a little bit behind your right hip. And as your left ankle and knee are stacked, or your ankle's a little bit in front of your knee, you're getting that motion of dragging left heel back to right knee and vice versa. Now, a little bit different from how we might normally have our hands, which would normally be at heart center or reaching all the way up, spinning palms in our Koundinyasana. What I'm going to ask you to do is to take your hands out in front of you, pressing your palms forwards, and then bring your elbows in line with your side body. Now, what's tricky here is trying not to squeeze shoulder blades together. We're just kind of making this mind-muscle, mind-body connection to what we need when we're in our Chaturanga shape, because that's really important for the balances of this practice. So, keeping that neutral broadness in your upper back for now, take an inhale. And as you exhale, allow yourself to round more as you press your hands away. Now remember, we're not squeezing shoulder blades. Come back to that neutral broadening on your inhale. And exhale, press your hands away. One more time, we're going to bring those elbows back to that neutral broadening on your inhale. Exhale, press your hands away. Sweeping your fingertips up on an inhale, we're going to repeat that kind of archer's variation that we took standing. Reach your right arm forwards, start to spin your chest open. Now squeeze your right glute and think about your legs as this pair of scissors. They're kind of contracting in towards that central long line of your mat. Just like in standing, you could take your left hand down to your low back, or sweep your left hand back in space. So this is definitely my non-dominant side for that back arm going. So this is my side where I tend to crease up more on that left side of my body. My outer rib cage wants to come and meet my left outer hip. So I need to squeeze more through those inner thighs. You can stay like this, or flip your right palm, left hand comes to low back or back of right leg, and think of a reverse warrior as you take that right hand up and overhead. Now take an extra inhale here. Twist. Look to your outer left knee and see if you can tuck that right elbow outside your left knee before taking a hand-to-hand grip. Now another option here would be to take right hand to your outer left knee and create a little hook with your left thumb to kind of gather that left outer hip, outer bum in towards center, okay? Now if you've got your hand-to-hand grip, I tend to go either palm to palm or fist to palm. But just see what space your body's willing to move into at the moment and try and be okay with that, okay? There's more to come. So we don't need to rush. We don't need to push too hard. Keep drawing your navel into your spine and just notice how with each inhale you create a little bit more space for your exhales to move you into. Using an inhale, come through to center, reach up, and Vinyasa. Exhale, hands come to frame your left foot. Then picking up your right knee, or if you've got another way to do it, it's fine. Sweep your left foot back to downward facing dog. From here, we take our Vinyasa. On an inhale, bring your shoulders beyond your wrists, Palakasana. Exhale, Chaturanga. Remember, you can do that from your knees. Inhale, bring your chest through. Find your back bend, flipping onto the tops of your feet. And then exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Looking up and in between your hands on your inhale, we'll step or float or walk, however you're taking it, to forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, dive in. Urdhva Hastasana, stand up, reach up, and we're just going to repeat that same flow on the other side. So start by reaching forwards with your left hand now. Perhaps feet are hip width distance for me, they're actually a little bit wider. You can also have them narrower, but you might find that bend for your right knee. And then keep drawing that tummy button in towards your spine as you either take right hand to low back or cartwheel your right arm open. Now, kind of a rule of thumb here that whatever arm reaching back, if it's your dominant hand, it usually feels better. So this feels, better for me. But remember, better and worse are just stories that we tell ourselves. Whenever something feels quote unquote worse for me, I know that that's where I need to work on my alignment more. I can't get complacent. So it's all positive. It's all gravy. Remember that feeling of that hand pressing your right shoulder back. You could even do that yourself before you start to reach out through both sets of fingertips again. Now using an inhale, come through to center, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, lift it halfway. Step your left foot back now. We're going back into our low lunge shape. So let your arms relax, okay? Let them have a moment of respite while you sort out your legs. Make sure that back knee is comfortable, and part of that relies on your knee being behind your hip. Once you have that feeling of resistance in your legs, that drag of right heel back to left knee, left toes can be tucked or untucked. We're going to take those hands out in front of us again and flip your palms as if you were pressing against the floor. Now notice if your shoulders creep up, just think space for the sides of your neck. And then keeping all of that strength of your legs, bring your elbows back in line with your outer body. Now I know that the angle of my hands might change a little bit, but what I'm going to focus on is keeping that neutral, then probably enhanced broadening of my upper back in these movements. Again, we're just making that kind of mind to body connection of what we need in our chaturanga. Take an inhale here. Exhale, press your hands out in front of you. Maybe you increase the broadening for your upper back. Inhale, bring your elbows back in line, but remember we want to avoid squeezing shoulder blades. It's trickier than it would seem. Take your hands out in front of you on that exhale. Inhale, bring those elbows back in line. Then exhale, take your hands out in front of you. Inhale, reaching both hands up. We're going to repeat that little cartwheel sequence that we did standing. Take your left fingertips forwards, squeeze your inner thighs, really switch on your glutes here, especially that left glute. And then you could either take right hand to low back or sweep your right fingertips back, and we're in a really deep twist. Use your breath here. Take a little time to refine your alignment. But notice as well, if you're somebody who always kind of will strain to look back towards that rear hand, is your neck doing this posture for you? Well, it doesn't need to. So you can always take your gaze to somewhere more comfortable. You can stay as you are, or flipping that left hand, right hand to low back or back of left leg. Think reverse warrior as you scoop that left hand up and overhead. Taking an extra inhale, maybe you look to where you're going for your twist. Tuck your left elbow or left hand, and if it's elbow, you'll take your hand to hand grip. Just as a reminder, if you ever want to take the upright twist instead, you're pressing that left hand against your outer right knee, and maybe hooking your right thumb into that crease between hip and thigh to gather in the right side of your bum. Now again, first twist of this nature on this side, so it's a miracle enough that we're doing it in the first place. Let's not ask for more and more miracles. Let's just see how it feels. Let's just breathe into it. Think about drawing that right sit bone in towards the center of your mat. Using your next inhale, you'll recenter Koundinyasana. Exhale, hands frame your right foot. Then picking up your left knee, take it back to downward facing dog. From here we take our vinyasa. Inhale, shoulders beyond your wrists. Now remember all that chaturanga practice I know you've been doing already. Lower halfway. Inhale, find your back bend. And then take it back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take maybe 3 breaths here, 5 breaths here. You could always drop your knees and take a little moment in child's pose as well. Looking up in between your hands, let's take it forwards, forward fold. Inhale, come to a halfway lift. Exhale, dive back in. Urdhva Hastasana, stand up, reach up, and then find Tadasana, arms down at your sides like we began our practice. So from here, we're going to take Utkatasana, chair pose. For some of us, we might normally have feet kind of hip width distance or so. You might want to bring your legs together for this, yogi's choice, okay? From here, if you've got legs together, act like you got one big leg. Squeeze those ankles in, press into your outer feet, and then start to lower your bum down. So we know that chair pose isn't about feeling like we're sitting in a chair. We wish, right? We become the chair. See if you can maybe just think about tucking your tailbone in a little bit more, drawing your navel to spine. And then I'm going to press hands at heart center once I've got that feeling, bringing my weight kind of mid to rear of my foot. So I like to lift my toes and just check out that I've got that engagement. Now, as you really push your hands together, you can feel this lift, this straightness through your spine, out through the crown of your head, this feeling of being tall. Keep that. If you've extended your arms, do bring your hands to heart center. Start to turn towards your left knee and see if you can twist here in your chair. Pressing hand to hand. Now, I'm not convinced that it's the end of the world if that right knee creeps forwards, okay? But maybe you could think about drawing it back if you start to feel that it's really, really meandering away from your left knee. Now, see if you can lower your bum a little bit more. On an inhale, come through to center, stay low, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. Step your right foot back. This time, keep your right knee lifted. From here, power up through your feet. Start to rise up, high crescent lunge. Fingertips can reach for the sky with palms spinning in, or just like we were before, you could take hands to heart center. You can even take hands to your waistline because, oh, why not? Who says you can't? Not me. Now, if you feel like you're on a tightrope, just wiggle that left foot a little bit wider. Maybe you drop your right knee by a couple of inches, tuck your tail, and then re-extend through your right leg and just feel how that fires things up. Now, a block might come in handy where we're going, so I'm just going to take a moment to place one handy-ish for the front of my mat, in front of that left foot. And this time we're going to create that hook with left thumb into left hip crease and thigh. Gather the left side of your bum in. We're getting used to these twists by now. Start to turn towards that left knee. See if you can hook your right elbow to take a twist. Now, your options are the same as before. You could take hand twist instead. You can tuck your elbow, take hand over hand, or with or without your block, you're going to hold on to that left thigh with your left hand. Right hand comes down and left hand comes up. So where your block can come in really handy is on any height setting underneath that right hand. It's remarkable. Without the block, it was kind of all right. And with the block, I realised that life was worth living again. Draw that left shoulder back in space, especially if you've got that extension through your left arm. And now, because you can, look down to the floor, and on an inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, runner's lunge. Just get rid of that block out of your way. Taking it back to plank, option for three-legged plank. I'll get my block out of the way and we'll vinyasa. Chaturanga on your exhale. Flipping to the tops of your feet for your back bend. Then exhale, down dog. Right leg lifts up on an inhale. Core plank, right knee to right tricep. Inhale, right leg lifts. Core plank, right knee to left tricep. Try and make contact with your elbow. Inhale, reach that right leg up. Warrior one. Let's take it there. Left heel comes down, and as you rise up, like me, you might be pulling your breeks up. Get your trousers pulled up. Start to wrap your left thigh forwards. Left foot is at that angle of about 9 or 10, okay? Then find softness for your right knee. Hands can come to heart center, or they can reach as you tuck your tail in. Find power through your outer feet. Now, if you haven't extended your arms up yet, your fingertips up yet, please do, because we're going to use them for a little bit of momentum for eagle wrap. Take an inhale here. Then swing your left elbow underneath your right. Forearms come towards one another. Perhaps left fingertips will wrap into your right palm. Now let your neck ease, let your shoulders ease a little bit. Re-dig in with those outer feet. From here, perhaps you lift your elbows up an inch or two and press your forearms away from your face. Now you can stay upright, or on an inhale, think about lifting your fingertips up and then up again. We're going to go for humble warrior with our eagle wrap. Dive your right shoulder towards the inside of your right knee. Now here, I can kind of release my arms a little bit more. I can go a little more loosey-goosey with them, but I need to really work on magnetizing my feet towards one another to keep my right outer sit bone from swinging out. Just allow your left shoulder to get heavy here. Let that natural rounding of your back happen. On an inhale, come back up, release those hands. Exhale, hands to heart center. Start to turn towards your right knee. We won't be here for long. Twist. Hook your left elbow outside of your right knee. Now, if you are feeling any pain in that left inner knee, or anywhere in that left knee for that matter, roll onto your left toes. We're going to come there in a few seconds anyway, okay? If you haven't already rolled to the ball of your left foot, now's your time to do so. Now start to take your weight into your right foot a little bit more. And honey, this won't be sexy and it doesn't have to be. We're going to come into our twisted Utkatasana to the right. Look down, take that weight into your right foot, step forwards and twist. One inhale, come through to center, sit down in that chair. Then exhale, stand all the way up. Sweet relief, sweet relief. For a moment, because we've got to do all that again. Chair pose. Legs together for me. Hip width distance, knees or ankles maybe for you. Lower down into your chair. And we've been here before, so this might actually feel like better. Maybe. Keep that tail tucked. Feel your weight distribute into your heels, mid-foot more, so you can lift and wiggle your toes. Hands are pressing at heart center. Start to turn towards your right knee. We've been here for a little moment, so we've got a slight advantage as you tuck your right elbow outside of that right knee. Now again, gaze points can vary here. I tend to take my gaze down towards the floor at a slight angle, but whatever gives you the most feeling of balance here is best. Draw that left knee back in space. See if you can lower your bum down a little bit. Using an inhale, come through to center, chair pose. Then exhale, fold it in. Feel free if you want, you can wiggle your feet wider. Inhale, come to a halfway lift. Then left foot steps back. Find your runner's lunge this time. It's from here that we expand up into our high crescent lunge. Now I often hear from people, well, what do I do if high crescent lunge or any high lunge variation is just getting too damn hard? And the answer is pretty simple. Well, you bring your knee down. But if you can, see if we can keep that left knee lifted. And we can. Yes. Maybe you soften that left knee a little, tuck your tail, re-extend through your left leg, and then we're going to start to work into our twist. And we've only got a couple more of these to come. Right thumb hooks, gather the right side of your bum in, then look to where you're going and find that initial twist. Now, of course, work with any variation that you were working with on the other side. For me, I'm going to keep a hold of that right thigh with my right hand so I can bring my left armpit closer to my outer right leg. And then I might take my block and pop it underneath that left hand as I reach right fingertips up. But by the way, you can do this without a block. As long as your fingertips are reaching towards the floor with that lower hand, we're all good, okay? Squeeze those inner thighs now, looking down towards that right foot. On an inhale, believe in yourself. I'll try my best. We're going to come through high crescent lunge. Take your hands down to frame your right foot. Just get any props out of your way. Don't do what I did last time. Off to the side, not in front of you. And on an inhale, perhaps you sweep your right foot back and up, three-legged plank to three-legged chaturanga. Bringing yourself through for your back bend. Really open up through the front of your chest. Exhale, down dog. Okay, we're nearly there. Pick up that left leg on an inhale. Left knee to left tricep, stacking shoulders over wrists. We've got that core plank. Inhale, reach your left leg back. The awkward way, twist left knee over to right arm. Inhale, reach that left leg up and away. Then knee to nose. Step forwards for warrior one. Right heel comes down. And then when we rise up, we do not have to get straight into the posture. You can lengthen your legs, check out the placement of your feet, makes you happy. And then once it does, wrap that right thigh forwards a little bit more. Start to soften into your left knee. And just like I actually did in my first chair pose, I'm actually just going to take one hand to the front of my tummy, one hand to my low back, and check that I'm not getting too sassy in the assy, okay? I want to get that little tuck. From here, hands can come to heart center. Fingertips can reach up, but remember that feeling of spaciousness for your neck. Keep digging into your outer feet here. Feel free to wiggle that left foot a touch wider if you're planning to come to the humble warrior variation. And let's take one more inhale, reaching fingertips up if you hadn't already. Eagle wrap. This time lead with that right arm. It goes underneath your left and you weave forearms together. Now, you might get your little double wrap. You might not. It doesn't make any difference to this posture, okay? In my humble opinion. Feel that length for the sides of your neck again, and then work to lift your elbows up. Press your forearms away from your face. We've all had that feeling, haven't we? When our hands want to come in and biff us in the forehead. Don't let them do that. Keep magnetizing your feet towards one another. And if you came with on the other side, let's inhale. Think about extending your fingertips up and then up again. Humble warrior with your eagle wrap. Dive in, slow as you like. Left shoulder creeps down towards the inside of your left knee. And if it does get there, use that. Use that feeling of resistance. Press your shoulder into your inner knee and feel that resistance press back, inner knee against your shoulder. Keep trying to gravitate those feet towards one another, but maybe you let your head, your forearms ease a little, even the muscles of your face and your neck, because they don't have to do this work for you here. Using an inhale, we're going to rise up and unravel that eagle wrap from wherever we were. Hands come down to heart center. One more time. We're going to turn towards that left knee. See if you can twist. I kind of slide that forearm down until I feel my elbow hook for twisted warrior one. Really press outer left knee against that outer right arm. You've not lost that digging in with your outer feet, that feeling that you're trying to bring your feet together, even though they're not moving. And remember, if before I cue it, you want to come onto the ball of that right foot for your knee safety, always and forever do what's right for you. Now, if you haven't already, start to come onto the ball of that right foot. Another little cheat code, by the way, you can kind of just mosey that right foot a bit more central. Now, I would say try and do it slower than the last time, but when somebody says that to me, I'm like, honey, I'm going as slow as I can. We're going to meet in our twisted chair pose. Start to take your weight into your left foot, draw your navel to your spine, and see if you can bring your right leg to meet your left, twisted Utkatasana, just for a moment. Using an inhale, come through to chair, take a big breath, and then find your Tadasana. Maybe you take a few moments here, like we did at the start of practice, to just find your breath. Maybe you take one hand to your navel, one hand to your heart center. And if you want to, with me or without me, you could take a deep, deep inhale and release a sigh. If you had your eyes closed, just flicker them open. It's time to play, okay? So, we're going to start our side crow, and then I'm going to try and work into Koundinyasana. But remember, as I will demonstrate, wobbles are normal. I hope I don't demonstrate this, but face planting, also normal, and I promise it doesn't hurt. All that I do is I leave some makeup behind me and I have to clean it off the mat. So, we're going to take any variation that you would prefer, but I'm going to start with a double elbow shelf for my first first side crow, So, what I'm going to do, nothing fancy, kind of like I was setting up to sit down in my Utkatasana, I'm going to bring my legs together, okay? Now from there, I'm going to start to lower down, but just when it's natural for me to come up onto the balls of my feet, that's exactly what I'll do, and I'll pop a little squat here, okay? So I'm nice and high up on the balls of my feet, legs are together. Now I'm going to turn round towards what at the moment is the front edge of my mat. I'm going to turn around that right leg so I can start to make my shelf. My right elbow is hooked just outside that right knee, a little bit further up my outer thigh. And I'm going to take my chaturanga arms here. So rather than letting that right elbow splay out, I'm going to hug that right elbow in. Now I'm looking forwards, but I'm thinking about rounding through my back. I'm going to come up nice and high on the balls of my feet, and as I press my hands down, I'm going to catch that outer right leg with my elbows, and then maybe lift feet and turn my gaze. Now what I'm working hard to do there is not let my right shoulder dip, and if it does, I remind myself that it is, and I put it back in its place a little more, okay? So that's the side that I quite like, doing that one. Let's go with the other one. Taking our little crouch down again. And for a lot of us, by the way, we might learn this side crow first, but then we prefer the other way, which we'll do in a little moment. I'm going to turn towards my left leg. So again, I'm ready here to create my shelf. I'm going to come up high on the balls of my feet, and I'm going to see if I can catch outer left knee and outer left hip. What do you know? Oh. You might turn your gaze to the side, and the side of your head will go quite close to the floor. Okay? It might go all the way to the floor, as mine just nearly did. That's all right, that happens, that's okay. You just come back, you just rock back, okay? So, if you would like to try that with one arm supporting, that's another way that you can do it. And I'll very briefly show facing this way, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll turn back to the direction that I was facing in. You'll start from your little crouch position, and again I'm going to turn towards my right leg for this first time because we've just done the left side. Instead of setting up my side crow with my double arm shelf, I'm going to take that left elbow more towards the midline, of my outer thigh. And you could even take your right hand a little further forwards. Your hands can be a bit wider, but what I'd love you to still think about is drawing that right elbow in, thinking of your chaturanga, okay? So, from there, you might already be flying, and that's okay. You keep flying, fly away, but not too far. Come back. If you're going for it with me, look forwards, round through your back body. See if you can catch that outer right thigh with your left elbow, and then find the lift. So you could keep looking forwards, you can look to the sides, and when you've had enough, take your feet down, and we'll try the other side. That went suspiciously well. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. All right, turning towards that left leg. Again, I really want to make sure that I'm catching, I'm sorry for want of a better word, the meat of that outer left thigh with my right elbow. You'll notice I've not even got a foot's worth distance in between my outer left foot and my right hand. And I'm going to take my left hand maybe a touch wider, a little bit further forwards, but I'm going to hug that left elbow in. Let's see what happens. As I catch that left thigh, I'm bending my elbows, think chaturanga, and I'm lifting through my legs. Woo! And once you've had enough, you just rock it back. All right, Koundinyasana. I'm going to do this with my one-armed support. Feel free if you would rather do it with two. We've already been over those two. You could pause, have a practice at those two, decide which one you like better. Koundinyasana 1 is an extension of side crow, okay? So the way that I'm going to do my Koundinyasana 1, I'm going to turn towards my right leg first, and we just add in one more element. I've got my outer right thigh. I'm going to go for my one arm variation. I'm going to lift up, catch my outer thigh, and then all that I'm going to do is start to work on extending my right and my left leg. And they might still be a little bent. That's okay. We just come back the way that we went in. Have a little go on one side. And then again, you can pause me. We try the other one. The big difference is the extension of our legs. And I know it's just one more step, but there's nothing easy about this posture. Let's face it, it's a power posture, but this is what we came for. This is what we came for. See if you can catch your outer left leg when you're ready. Pop up into your side crow. And then perhaps you work on extending your legs, and then fall in a heap, I guess. When you've had a play, let's lie down. One block low height setting. We're going to take supported fish. That first block low height setting, I'm going to completely support my shoulder blades, okay? Other block is going to come underneath the back of my head on medium height setting. After all of that back body lengthening, we just want to coax that front body open again to balance things out. You could, if you like, take the soles of your feet together and your knees wide for Supta Baddha Konasana. Perhaps you tuck one shoulder blade and then the other underneath you a little bit more. You might take your hands somewhere else other than out to the sides. Through this practice and through the powerful postures that we explore through it, I find myself celebrating again and again the death of ideas that I had about what I was capable of. Positive self-talk helps and all. But in connecting with Kali through this physical practice, she fosters the death of everything that we once thought about ourselves, all of the can't do's, never will, and keeps proving us wrong. You can stay in this position if you like for your Shavasana. You can gently take your props out from underneath you. Maybe as you let your body settle fully, you can just take a little moment to connect to something that you believed you were incapable of once in your practice. And whether it was today or on another day, you prove yourself wrong about. Let's celebrate the death of that negative idea. Feel free to take as long as you would like to have in your Shavasana, okay? Let yourself come back to the world in your own time and take the rest that you wholeheartedly always deserve. For now, I will thank you once again for joining me in this practice. Very, very well done, and I look forward to seeing you soon.